All right. Hello there. My name is Minvin. Today I'm going to be doing my GDQ submission for Kaze in the Wild Mass, any percent, casual, no level skip. So the 80% just goes through the entire game from beginning to end. It is a precision platformer. It is put out by, let's say it was developed by Pixel Hive, published by Sedesco. It's Brazilian creators that made this. It's a great indie game. It's very reminiscent of old Donkey Kong style games. So a lot of the gameplay is very, very similar. So it makes look a little familiar on that. So the reason that I have casual no level skip is, let me get on the game real quick, is you have two modes, original and casual. So in casual, you have 3 hit points instead of 2. And if you die on a level 7 times, then you get to skip the levels, which is why the category is no level skip. So we do not take advantage of that, but we still have the extra health. But it doesn't change anything else about the stages, other than there are some extra hidden checkpoints. But without further ado, we're going to get the volume on the game up a little bit, and then time starts as soon as we select casual mode. So here we go in 3, 2, 1, and start. Now, there are cutscenes right here at the beginning, and then after each of the bosses. We don't see them because we just mash start as much as possible. The cutscenes aren't great to watch, though. Alright, so the game is divided into 4 hubs. This is our first hub. It's going to be a lot of the easiest levels. It's also the shortest by 1 level. Now, the majority of our movement is going to be a lot of that spinning, which allows us to track, but we move faster when we're on the ground. It also allows us, like as we're falling, to take advantage of coming off the edge a little bit before we actually have to jump. Because the cool thing is as we are going off this ledge, if we're still in the spin animation, the game still thinks that we are on the ground. And a lot of the levels are spin dashing, spin dash jumping, killing enemies, and getting to the end as fast as possible. So there's not too much that goes into this. There's no heavy glitches or anything like that. Now on this level, we are introduced to not only a couple different enemies, but we have the little jelly platforms. Which the cool thing on them is, as long as you are spinning, you are automatically considered to be doing a max jump like that on them, so you automatically get max height. Whereas if you just walk into them, which I'll be able to demonstrate here shortly, that happens. So we want to be able to spin into them whenever possible, because it saves us some time and input, so we can just kind of like hover through the level. Now, just like Dixie in the Donkey Kong series, we can use our ears instead of the hair to kind of hover, which will come in handy in quite a number of spots. It is a little slower, but there's places where we need to do it. Hopefully we get the jelly. We did. And that's the end of that level. So there's going to be a couple times you're going to see me coming up to a platform, and I'm just going to be just barely there, and then I'm going to ground pound. When you ground pound, you actually get a little bit of height, and so if it puts you over a platform that you're normally in the middle of, you're now over it and you land on that platform. So we use that in a couple spots to get just a little extra height so we can skip bouncing on a couple things. Now this level, Thorny Tree, introduces us to the first of the wild masks, which is the bird mask. We basically turn into a giant bird. We use our ears to go flap flap, and we hover around. We also have the ability to essentially shoot a projectile. However, we rarely use it. It's like on a boss level and that's it, because it's slow. You actually, you cannot move when you're doing it, and if we can't move, we can't go towards the end as fast. And so we ain't got time for shooting, except on, sorry, there's going to be 2 bosses. Actually, you know what? No, there's only 1. We only do it on Buck, that's it. It's the only time we shoot. Alright, so we're going to take an intentional damage boost there. I'm going to just hover right under that fireball, and now we're going to just go straight up. Dodge around those guys. And that's the end of the level. Flying. We'll have a couple things where we're going to take advantage of that height from the ground pound, because we can use it when jumping off of things to get up to ladders that are a little bit higher that we normally wouldn't be able to get on. Alright, so the vines, we can climb along them, but we want to jump, except for that last little bit right there. Those jars are annoying because they slow you down, and there's a couple spots. Oh, I almost had that full on. You can actually beat that fireball just barely. Oh, well, alright, so I gotta play the last little bit of this a little careful. I did not want to take that damage boost there, because normally I would damage boost at the end of the level, but because of that, I can't do it here. And ground pound there. Normally we would damage boost through here, like through these little floating artichokes. We're gonna have to take this a little slow because I took an extra damage boost I didn't want to, which is fine. Normally we can jump over that fireball that hit me, which would allow us to just basically hop right over him, but something got messed up and the timing was weird. But that's okay. Now we come into lights on, lights off. Think Karate Kid, walks on, walks off. So as long as in the dark, there's going to be enemies that are active when it's dark and go to sleep when it's light. Like that little pineapple crab thingamajigger. Just like that. So we take advantage of this, but there's times we just skip them because hitting those things like that are just a little slow. But for the first half of the level, they're literally in our way. We can't do anything about it. So it's not really costing us time. I almost hit that dragon fruit porcupine. Whee! Alright. Now we got a couple platforms here that we have to watch out for. Watch our timings on. Now this is an intentional damage boost we can take right there. Even if we were in original, we would still take that damage boost, because if we do the rest of the level right, we never run into those things again. And that's it. Now we're coming into Bean Bay. This is where we are going to find our second wild mask. There are a total of 4 in the game. They gradually get introduced to you. This also introduces the concept of water that you can swim in instead of dying in. Alright, cool. I did that on purpose. So when you're hovering through the air, if you land in water one way, like what you'll see right here, you dive under. If you do like what I've been doing where you've been hovering, then if you're hovering when you hit the water, you just land on the bottom. And then we have our shark mask. We get to go zoom zoom in the water. So if we hold the jump button, we basically like increase our speed, and the dash button lets us do a little spinning dash, which is also our attack in the water. We pretty much never let go of jump, so we're always doing a fast swim. We try to time our dashes right, so that way you don't stall out like that. Normally you can just keep going, but My button time is a little off on that. Now, we did recently feature this game on the Testing Grounds hotfix, so people have had a chance to see what this looks like, but this has never made a GDQ main stage. We're gonna just slide right through here. Cool thing is our hitbox is just right. We can fit right behind those leaves. And boom, done. Alright, so now we come to our first boss, Mother Mona. It's a giant flying artichoke that shoots spikes at you. And she laughs at you. So the intended way to do this fight is at some point those little like things curled up on the trees will unfurl and you're supposed to hop on them to bop Mona on her head. This is a speed run. We ain't got time for that. We actually have a way to do a quick kill to avoid that. Like if you do them all, it only saves about like maybe a second overall. But still, every second counts in a speedrun. But we are also doing this as a showcase, so we're going to show off games. It is hardest to do on the first one because she moves slow, so that's okay. We took a hit. That's cool. Because on casual, unlike in original, you actually get a heart in a boss battle. So just in case I have to take damage on the next two phases, we're fine. So every phase is pretty much the same. And that's how the skip should look. So it's always a pattern of shooting spikes at us, rain them down with a gap that you would just kind of hide in, and then shoot again. Then we got artichokes coming out from each side, alternating. The patterns are always the same. All the boss fights are scripted. So there is no RNG to the fights or anything like that. The only time anything changes is if you fail to hit a boss or they hit you on an attack like that. That's the only time that you have more than just the phases on the fight. And that's our first hub. We go through a little bit of fanfare here. And then we're going to move on to our next one. We get introduced to ice. Everybody loves ice. I wish we could skip some of that loading stuff, but once we're able to do this, we can make it move pretty fast. Alright. So in this first one, we are going to see carrots, just a slightly different type of carrots. We saw them in the first couple levels. Now that letter is going to be something that will probably be the only one we collect. So there are collectibles in the game. All these purple gems right here are collectibles. All those, there's letters. Oh, all right, that is not how that's supposed to go. And then there's bonus levels where you get green gems, which we won't see. Not in any percent, because it's slow. We also avoid the letters for similar reasons, because basically at the end of every stage there's a countdown thing. Like if you've ever seen like Crash Bandicoot or anything like that, where they've got those boxes at the end, same thing. Ow. That wasn't supposed to happen. This is our last stretch anyway, so... And there's the end. So, all of this right here, there's time taken up for counting up how many of the purple gems you got, the letters, things like that. We want to try to avoid all of that as much as possible because, well, it wastes time. There's a couple levels and a couple areas kind of like that where you can't help but hit a letter, which is fine because trying to avoid the letter generally is harder and slower than doing it the original way. Alright, so again, I was making comparisons to Donkey Kong Country. So now we have things like the barrels. These slingshots are like the barrels that you find in Donkey Kong. And like I said, remember how I said those things were slow? Yeah, that's why they're slow. If you spin in the right, like if you land in the right spot there, you actually don't pick it up and you just spin through it. These are also like the other barrels. So both kinds of barrels are in here. And the developers have even said that it was heavily... I did not want to hit that. Heavily inspired by that, so it's cool. And so, since everything is deterministic in this game, there's no RNG. We know exactly where we need to go for hitting these patterns. Just skip the stage. And voila! We're through the first of the slingshots. Now, I did take 2 damage in that level. One thing that we will notice going into the next level is I will automatically have 1 health given back to me. That's another benefit of casual versus original. Normally in original, if I was coming into this, I wouldn't have a health just granted to me. I would have to go as is and hope to get a heart. So I automatically start off with 1, and hearts in any percent original are always the 2 hit points. So I will always get the gold buddy next to me, regardless whether I have 1 or 2 hit points. Which for casual enables me to kind of race through certain areas like that one, because I can just damage boost through some things. Because there are certain levels like this one where hearts are kind of handed out a little bit more frequently. But there's one thing that can always be guaranteed. Oh, by the way, third mask, we go zooming. Is anytime you collect a mask or you hit a checkpoint, you are guaranteed to have a heart right after it. So you can always use that as a way to know where you can damage boost at if you're unsure. Because as soon as there's a checkpoint, you are guaranteed to have a heart coming up. You collect a mask, you get a heart. So it makes some of this a little easier to manage, because I know, like up here, I could take a damage boost right here if I needed to, because there's a checkpoint, and I would have a heart. Now, if we are at full health when we collect a heart, we collect purple gems, that's fine. For 100%, that's something we have to do. And then sometimes you get a heart if you go into a particular dangerous area, like that one. Now, cycles, like this is probably the first one where we come across any particular cycles. Cycles don't start until they're about to hit on the screen. Well, that was slow. Ah, I see what happened there. I'm hitting the wall when I don't need to. Okay, that was a little slower than it should have been. Whoops. I guess I was making contact with the wall when I didn't want to. Anyway, as I was saying, cycles don't start until they're about to hit the screen. So cycles are pretty much deterministic. So unless you happen to like come close, but not quite to a cycle, where it would turn it on and you don't move, that's about the only time a cycle is going to change versus what's supposed to be. So as long as you play the levels the right way, then you will always have the cycles where you want them. And we take advantage of that in a couple areas. Especially this level. Oh my god, cycles are needed in this level. You need to know your cycles, because the way the ropes work. Because that way you know exactly where a rope's going to be and things like that. There's a couple other levels where it's vitally important, especially in the later hub. And a lot of this is just going to be a lot of dodging. We fall here because I can actually clear my way over to this faster than waiting on the rope. And this is an area where we wait and we dodge over. Alright. We always want to try to know when we can go and avoid some cycles when we can. So this, we're just going to hover at the bottom for about 3.5 tomatoes, then jump off. We do it again, and we're going to end up jumping off before the end of... No, sorry. Not before the end of this one on this one. And that was Ropes of Hope. Now we go into Arctic Blizzard. We get to introduce to ice and wind at the same time. So we are reintroduced to the bird mask here. So we're going to be flying through the wind. The cool thing is hitboxes. Hitboxes are fun. Because you actually kind of scrape by in areas where you looks like you should get hit, but you don't. Alright. That wasn't supposed to get hit there, that's fine. We're gonna have a heart coming up soon anyway. Bunk. Because hey, we get a mask. And what did I say about getting a mask? Or a checkpoint? There's a heart not too long after. Unfortunately, this one is a little bit further away than normal. We should be getting it up here pretty soon. Oh, wait, wow, this is actually the only time. My mistake. There's the heart. Alright, so we're going to duck under here, we're going to go over something, and we're going to hold down, because while we're in flight, if we hold down, it actually zooms us down, because that way we can make that cycle. And like I said, it looks like we should have been hit by that. Because we are cutting through a lot of stuff, we can hit cycles, and we're making it through small gaps. And we're at the end, we've only got a few more pumpkins to dodge, and one more set of potatoes. And see, we hit a pumpkin, dodge through there, and that's the end. Now we get introduced to the fourth mask. This mask is the lizard mask. This turn, if you... I'll wait until we get to the mask so you can kind of see what it's about. Roar! So this is like the mine carts in Donkey Kong. They are self-propelled. We can jump. We can ground pound. We want to hop up hills and try to ground pound when we're coming down something. But otherwise, we have no control. Now, there is a player by the name of Kavalka, a Brazilian speedrunner for this, that is insanely good at these levels. Far better than I am. He's just really fast at them. I've tried. I can't. But that's okay. So, honestly, this would be a level, like, outside of talking about a couple of things where if there was any donations, this would be one of the ideal points because it's basically running, dodging, and jumping and making sure I don't die. So there's really not much to talk about this level other than the fact that we see two others like this throughout the level that use different gimmicks, which is fine. So, I mean, we gotta leave some room for donation commentary at some point. So, that would be one of those best points for that. This is one of my favorite levels, Pumpkin Pyre. I just love the aesthetics on the level, and it's fantastic. So this, you basically have air currents that you can float up in, which, yeah, it's nothing new. That's fine. Games do it all the time. But the fact that instead of it just being like a regular air current, it's smoke from fire caused by these evil flaming pumpkins. Which is cool. And this is one of those levels where we just take advantage of cycles to miss getting hit by things. And if we're lucky on one of these trips through these, when I do my ears, we'll actually get a slight visual bug where I'll be in my standard fall animation, but I will not have my ears twirling. This is the level that happens in all the time. I don't have a way to like duplicate it, it just happens sometimes. I wish I knew how to duplicate it. Now there's gonna be areas where I'm just tapping it because I don't want to hover up, but I don't want to sink either. But we're almost at the end of the level anyway. Now we're just gonna come here, hover in the middle, and that's it. We're at the end. That level's done. A lot of these levels are short. There's only one that's before you get to the last hub that's actually considered long because it's an auto scroll. Outside of the boss levels. The boss levels are really scripted. Speaking of scripted bosses, this is Buck's Brigade. This has my favorite boss music, but it's not my favorite boss in the game. This is actually the one that caused me the most trouble when I was playing through casually. Like, almost every other boss I got within, like, 1 or 2 tries. This one took me forever. But it is scripted. What we're looking for, like you saw what I did there, this is one of the few times where we're going to be shooting with the beak. Because we're looking for the red tomatoes instead of the pumpkins. As we hit them, it's going to cause Buck to inflate, and then he's going to come onto the screen and try to hit us after a couple of them. So there's always going to be 2 patterns of the pumpkins, where they're going from usually top to bottom and then move left to right, or left to right, then top to bottom. When he comes in, we try to hit him, and then he goes back. If you're lucky in the first 2 phases, you can actually hit him off screen. I'm not that good. I don't know where to stand for it exactly. But a lot of these, like I said, we got scripting. We know exactly where Red Boy is going to be. So we just got to look out for our homie in red. And all I'm going to do here is just float off to the side because I know exactly where this next one's going to start. Now, I haven't taken any damage, so I don't need that hard, so I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to duck over here to the right a little bit. We're going to do that again. And homie in red is going to be coming up the middle after this. See, not that one. There's a couple of more coming up in the middle once the right side here starts coming down, and he's right here. Now the interesting thing is yeah, I can hit them as fast as possible. If I happen to miss them, I have until the end of this cycle to try to hit him while he's on a screen. Because those cycles are going to finish regardless. The only thing that speeds it up is how quickly you can hit the tomato and how quickly you hit Buck off the screen. That's the only way this fight gets sped up. Because as long as these pumpkins are on the screen, they have to finish. They do not preemptively disappear. Alright, so we got our last left to right. Now we're going to have a diagonal bullet hell section. But we know exactly where they are. And this is also the only one, because of how it moves, where you will actually have 2 tomatoes. Now we hover down here for Buck, because he spins slowly on this one. So we hover to aim him over there, and then fly up and bop him on his head. Because you don't see it on the first shoot because we hit him that close to the screen, but Buck follows you. And so on the last one, since he rotates slowly, we force him to go some way, so we can just get him done earlier. Otherwise, if you try to use projectile, you have to get far left of the screen. Little hydrate here while we're waiting on the next level. So now we are coming into Toxic Tide. A lot of acid-based levels in here. First couple, are okay, but we're gonna start seeing ones where we have, rising lava type situations, or acid. This is our next water level. I'm gonna take advantage of hovering in the water so we don't dip under there, because that's slow. And Shark Boy! Alright, so this is going to be another one where we're just kind of going through. We get introduced to the starfish here, which we only see in one other level. They can't be hurt. So instead, we just damage boost through them. I took an extra damage boost there I didn't want to take. but we're going to be okay because we're going to have another heart coming up soon anyway, because this is a checkpoint and we get a heart right after these guys. So we're fine. But we're going to try to damage boost through them because, well, it is so much faster than waiting sometimes to just do that. Now, just because I want to wait a little bit, I am actually going to... Well, never mind. I was going to try to take that one a little slow so I can keep just one hit point through the rest of this, just in case, because every now and then, the frame ending on the spin lands me into a tomato when I'm not in my spinning animation. So I end up getting hit, sometimes dying, and this is the end of the level. That's it. It also helps if I hit the ending portal. Alright, so just like in that one level with the vines, we get to do it again. Except this time these are angled, so we zip line with our ears. Now, there's going to be a section here where I'm going to want to jump off, because landing on these guys is slower than it is to like hop between the middle one and zip through. Now, a lot of this is just knowing your patterns for the pumpkins, where you can jump, like drop there. I was supposed to drop in that area. That was 100% my mistake. That's the only time we bounce on one of those guys, because he's just in the way. There's no way to do it without it. At least not that I've seen. Now, ideally, we shouldn't take any more damage the rest of this, so we're fine with the 1 health, because we're usually moving faster than everything else anyway. We got to do a little bit of duck and dodge there. Fun fact, that's the only time that you spin into any enemy and you get the bounce kill animation instead of the spinning kill animation. I don't know why, but it's a cute little fact. If anybody else has found it, feel free to point it out to me. Alright, so we're coming into our final flip. So we're basically going to go up, down, up, over, duck, up, jump over, and into the end. Someone told me that when I talk about that, it sounds like a dance animation. It kind of does, and that's fine. Alright. Scales Showdown. This one we get introduced into purple beets. They are bad beets. Just kidding. So a lot of this one is we don't want to fall into that water. This water's bad. I can't swim in this water. Now, if you're ever doing a spin off, that's weird. I don't think I should have been hit like that, but that's okay. Alright, we're fine. So anyway, as I was gonna say before, I got hit by something I wasn't planning on getting hit by. Okay, my jump got 8. Cool. Alright, anyway, as we were saying, you know, I forgot where I was at, but I need to raise that. There we go. I can't make that jump otherwise. So, you know what? I lost my train of thought on this level. That is fine. That is fine. We're good. Now, that's the first time I've died, which is fine. In casual, you have extra hidden checkpoints where if you die in a stage, it takes you to a certain point based on where you died. On a couple levels, it actually moves you ahead of that death point, which is interesting. It's still slower, so it's not like you gain any time by taking advantage of it. Fun fact, there is a tornado in this that It's chasing you. If you hit it, it's an automatic death plane. If we're good, we never see it. Also, Zumi mask. In original, when you die, you go to the one checkpoint that's in each level. In casual, you get those extra checkpoints. Which honestly, I mean, it's not that... It helps in some stages, but honestly, for the most part, it's nice. And hang a little left so we don't hit that wall. Because it's slow to hit the wall. I've made the mistake of dashing too soon there and dying. Also, if you dash and you're hitting multiple enemies, your dash gets continued. That's about the closest we'll come to that this entire run. And duck under that one so we can get that. Boom, done. Yeah, so there's another level where we see the tornado a little bit more. That level, it's there, you hear it, but you don't really see it. Alright, so Toxic Lake is where we get to deal with rising acid that's chasing us. We take advantage of Ground Pound a lot in this level because it's just faster. There are some people like Kavalka who Ground Pounds an insane amount of times, and I swear the acid has trouble keeping up with him. Now, I can skip that because the chances of me dying before a certain point are slim. I'm just doing it for safety reasons. And over those guys. Alright, hitting those guys is annoying. You can hit them from behind just fine, and they won't bounce you back. It's when you hit that, the watermelon shell is where it's just like, oh, that happened. They bounce you back. Bonk, bonk. That's where knowing your patterns comes in handy. Because like, bop, 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 bop. You're up. I had to focus a little bit on that one. Alright, right ahead of it. Every game has to have some type of auto-scroller. This is that level. Now, there are ways to cut it and make it a little faster. Because on, there's going to be platforms, like this one I'm landing on, that, at certain points, you can actually cut early and zip ahead to the checkpoint and the camera follows you, which is cool. That's fine. We're good. The last one does not do that, but you can still hit the ending platform a little early if you know what you're doing. Da, da, da. I don't remember, was that here? No, it's not here. So our next cut... So our first cut's gonna be coming up here. There's gonna be a portion of this where I'm gonna focus a little bit and not talk too much. But this would also be one of those levels where donations are very happily be read because there is not much other than a bunch of dodging that goes on in this. But yeah, every time we see a ow, rude. But yeah, when you see those letters, you know it's a sign to that you're coming on to a cutscene, not cutscene, a checkpoint, or the next section of these. And we damage boost through them because I'll be damage boosting through some of these artichoke guys here, right there. Mental note, or not mental note, but something to keep in mind. In original, though, like I said, there is one checkpoint in original that worries. you only get that after the first platform. So if you die on the third, you go all the way back, and that is roughly a 1 minute time loss. I hit the portal before it. I had to be quiet there because I had to listen for some things. Alright. Sprint of Spirits. So this is the second Lizard Mask level. So you remember that one level where it was like lights on, lights off? Well, we get introduced to other flowers. Because it's like, I've got that ghost fish chasing me. Red makes him angry. Blue puts him to sleep. So our objective is to hit as many blue ones as possible and as few red ones as possible. Outside of that first one, you don't have to hit a single red. But you do have to time jumps like that one, so you can hit blues. And this is gonna be another one of those levels where it's just like, if there was commentary to be, or not commentary, donations to be read, this would be the perfect time to do them because there's not much that would happen in this level. So I will probably be a little silent through this because there's not much to talk about this level other than making sure you hit certain things like that there. Because I think Kavalka also holds the world record time on this for Steam because yeah, he has time and he managed to break it to the point where you actually have two of those fish chasing at the same time because he's just going insanely fast. But if you ground pound on one of those down angle paths, then you gain a slight speed boost, and I missed the blue guy. Whew. And we're at the end of the level anyway, so there we go. We're fine. Whew. All right. Now we come up to my favorite boss, which is Olaf. Olaf's a giant turnip that laughs at you. He is not a joyful snowman. He also sends killer beats at you. And just like with other bosses, there are patterns. And as long as you know your patterns, you're fine. Alright, now we're going to have part of the arena go away. And now it's a matter of just dodging. If you know your patterns, you just know where you need to dash to avoid things. Now we're going to dash twice this way. And now we lose the middle platform. And we do a lot more dodging. And we should have one more like that and one where they spawn on the wall side of me. And Olaf should be spawning. Oh! I missed him on the drag down. If you slide down at just the right timing, you slide into his head. It's funny. Alright, we are in our fourth and final hub. This is where the hardest levels are supposed to be. But as a speedrunner, we've kind of figured out how to do these relatively easy. with the exception of ice, pretty much all of these levels take every other mechanic in the game and every other enemy and puts them in here. The only things we don't have are the ice levels and the ice carrots. We have pretty much everything else. And we start the level off by rising lava. We're gonna do a ground pound, jump there, jump up here, jump up here. Ground pound, jump here so we can skip a cycle on the artichokes. And we got time to climb up those. Ooh, I almost messed up there. I'm gonna hold off there. I want to go into this next section with as much health as possible. And we get Birdie back. Now we need to be careful right here, because we got our these guys back. If we hit the lava for even the briefest moment, we die. There is no amount of hearts that will save us. Because every now and then you can name it, you get hit by one of those things, you don't even have time and damage boost, and it's just like, oh, I'm dead. Because you get bopped into the lava. Shoot Pickle Rick. Load up the middle here. If we're lucky, I can make a cycle right here. I'm gonna dodge through these, and I can make that, which cuts the cycle. And we're good. Even if we got hit, we have a heart right here, so it's fine. Unfortunately, we cannot skip a cycle here without damage boosting, and I need both these health for a strat that I do a little bit later. I prefer going into an area with a very specific area with 2 health. That's actually not too far after this. So we're going to come up here and cut very early off on the side, because now we're going to come up under this, and we won't have to worry about this top section anymore. We won't see them until we're about to cut up and do this. That's why I wanted it, because we are in our final ascent, so now even if I take a damage, which I should be able to avoid pretty much everything except for one hit here, we're fine. Ooh! And I got the full-on cycle. There we go. There we go. Alright. Because here's one thing, like, if you don't hit those cycles in original, you can't take some of those damage boosts because you don't have the extra health. That's one benefit to casual over original, is you can sometimes be a little riskier with the strats. Alright. Like I said, it's just like that. We got all kinds of things. So we got air currents, we got jellies, we got porcupines, we got the tornado. We got hooks. I don't think we've actually seen those prior to this, so that one is new. And one thing you gotta make sure on is if you're on a zip line or you're on a hook, never press spin because you will immediately drop. I goofed that up horribly. I was not supposed to bounce there. I'll do that out of safety just to have the extra. But this is also one of those, like, if you fall, you're likely dead because you're falling into a pit. And we can actually just jump that gap. We don't need the jelly there. Kind of same thing here. Whee! Hop over him. We're gonna go big up there. And we're at the end of the level. Because we're gonna bop there and spin dash up into here. And that's it. Now, jelly dungeon. So, those jellies that we just got hit again, we got an entire dungeon of them. So there's gonna be a couple skips that we can do here to kind of help make things a little faster, cut some corners. Let's just hope we don't get hit. Because if we do things right, we can basically just mash through the end of the level. Now, one of the things you do have to be careful here is not hitting the jump button when you don't want to. Because if you hit the jump button in the wrong area, you will do a high jump like that. And which means you're going to go into a phase full of 30 vines. And so you want to avoid that. Because you can take damage where you don't want to when you do that. Make that a little safe. I have held jump there more often than not and just run into things. That's one area I didn't want to take it because I would like to have two here. Alright, so now... Alright, so now we're fine. I can just go here, we hop there, and I can basically just mash jump because, yeah. That just zips me through everything. Now we come to the last of the lizard levels. We got a little bit of a preamble with some bunny action right here. Well, that was rude. Alright. Now, a lot of this level is just going to be a lot of timing. Because I got a big old pit below me. And... yeah. Because sometimes, like, if you don't do things just right, you end up with, timings on, like, banana shootings. Because we use the bananas as platforms a lot in this level. We want to try to avoid getting hit, because it slows us down in this level when we get hit. We don't like getting hit. This is also pretty much the only level with the exception of right before getting the lizard mask and right here, where you don't really have any down platforms to try to get extra speed on. Fall off on purpose and just jump up there. There's going to be a lot of going up and down on these things to avoid the beats, which is fine. Alright, so here pretty soon we're going to come up to an area that has notoriously been bad on patterns for me, where for some odd reason, if I don't do it just right, I completely miss the pattern. And thus die. I'm going to hope that doesn't happen. We're going to walk straight off onto that banana. Perfect timing. It's programmed that way. Okay, cool. We took advantage of a damage boost and just kind of not die. That's great. That was awesome. Alright. Alright, so I come to Haunted Lake. This is the last normal level with the shark mask. And it also incorporates the day and night theme. Or the nightlight theme. Alright. So the first part is generally just avoid getting hit. You have fish like that that are going to wake up. We have one watermelon we can zip through. Another one we have to jump over. And the majority of this level is, with the exception of this front part, we are now in water for the remainder of the level until we get to the ending portal. And now there is nothing but patterns to avoid. Funny thing is because the amount of time that we're dashing in this level, you can actually go through this entire level without hitting any of those blue lanterns, and you will never, the fish will never catch up to you because your dashing is just too fast for them, unless you do stuff like that. Now, it's always fun to just hit the night lights, which is great, but it is not required. And also because the amount of thorny things that can hurt you, this level has the highest concentration of hearts in any underwater level. Probably in any level that I'm aware of. I haven't counted. I just know that every time you turn around, ooh, hearts. Ooh, hearts. Oh, there's another heart. As such, you kind of need them to get through this level for the 100, for the 100 gems. So... Alright, so Circuit Capers is going to be the last level where we see the Tiger Mask. There are a lot of cycles to worry about here. If you do things in the wrong way, you will end up in the acid, and that's just a bad day for our bunny. I almost went ahead a cycle. As I was thinking about this area right here where you can just kind of skip over everything. And now we go zooming. So we gotta wait for these things to either come close to being ready to pop or have popped, because otherwise we will fall through them. Do a small little cut there. Because there's times where I've gotten ahead of myself and it's been bad. Now, I might focus instead of talking about the game too much here, just because I'm going to be taking it safe. I can actually skip to that platform to get over here sooner. I'm not taking a chance. Because this is the area where you got to watch out for the patterns the most. Now, I haven't pointed it out, but anytime we have the Tiger Mask, you see those areas right here, you can't grip on that part right there. Oh, I did that way too early. Holy crap. I gave myself a heart attack. Oh. Okay. Oh. I almost died there. That death is actually punishing, even in casual. And we are on our last level before our final boss. This one, there's no rising lava, but there's lots of spinning platforms that have cycles that you can miss. And this is one of the levels where you can very commonly be just off on your cycles, and you actually just end up not really being off on your cycles, just your positioning, and your hitbox is too small and you go through a platform because your hitbox is wrong. I've had that happen more times than not. It's actually happened in a marathon run. That was great because I got to show that off and I was like, yay! Not really. But we do take advantage of ear hovers and try to, yeah. Alright, so the first part's relatively easy. Second part's a little bit more timing because we got more of those things we gotta deal with. That was not ideal. You can actually skip a lot of that. That wasn't planned, but it works. And we're at the end of the level. That's it. Now we go to our final boss. Typhoon is the ultimate enemy in the game. And, well, yeah, she got mad at her previous mentor. She killed her for her powers. And that's what caused all the evil veggies to pop up. Now we get to just beat Typhoon. Typhoon is the only boss in the game, the final boss, that has 4 phases that we have to deal with. The cool thing is there are there are patterns to these phases. And I messed up a pattern. Yay. I actually don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, I'll say that should pop up there. I goofed something at the end there. Alright. That's fine. We'll actually get a heart in the next phase, so we're good. It's always on the second phase with a boss. I need to not get hit before the end here. Alright, we're good. Actually, whoa. Excuse me, game? Okay, well, that was annoying. I was just consistently holding down for no reason. Well, at least we get to reseat this part. That's how fast the first one should go. But I have no idea why Kaze was stuck in down mode. That was rather weird. So, weird little glitch, that's fine. Okay. I should have just dropped. That's fine. And there's gem number 6. So the whole point on this is you want to get 6 gems. Well, that was annoying. Since everything's on a pattern, you can actually just, you know exactly where everything's going to be at. I'm going to wait here because there's going to be one on each side. And now we're going to train her to go a very specific way. Alright, now we're on Lizard Mask. And then after this, we have one more area to survive. And then that will be game. And now we're just gonna wait on this side wall right here. Time will happen whenever Typhoon gets hit on the final hit. And if it wasn't for that death on Typhoon, we would have had a new world record. We still have a new world record, but it would have been a sub-minute world record. And that is Kaze the Wild Mask, any percent casual, no level skip. I really hope we get to show this off at GDQ. Hopefully I can show it off without that unfortunate glitched death at the end. So maybe this was just fake, so that way if it gets picked, we can show off a new world record on it. But with that being said, thanks again. My name has been Finn, and I hope to show this off at AGDQ. Thanks.